We are now at the end of week one. So first off, congratulations. This week was a little weird because it wasn't just about learning some concept and then applying it. It was mostly about setup, which can be really complicated and annoying and frustrating, honestly. So hopefully at this point you have your GitHub repo set up and then you have your coding environment set up, whether that's your local computer or Replit, either one is fine, and you have them connected. So that was a big part of this week. And then you learned about HTML and HTML tags, and most importantly, you learned about how to research new HTML tags using tools like W3 Schools and MDN. So, kudos for getting that far, because that's already a lot. And now begins the project time. So the way this class is going to work is, most weeks won't involve that much setup. Now that you have that done, it's done. So most weeks will work like you learn some new concept and then you have a project where you apply that concept. So in this week, we'll be applying the concept of HTML tags. So to get started on that, I would say start in your GitHub repo and check out this week one HTML directory if you haven't already, and click into that from GitHub. And this README file contains instructions and GitHub opens it automatically. And so here it is. And long story short, follow these instructions to implement a project that practices the concepts of the week. In this case, it's HTML. So this project this week is asking you to add 5 new tags that aren't already in the file. So let me do a couple things. First, let me maybe look at this in my local environment. Again, you can use Replit, totally fine, totally cool, but I'm going to look at it in my local environment here because that's kind of my default setup. So week one HTML. So I have my README. I'm just going to look at that in GitHub, but I'm going to look at my index.html file in my text editor. And here it is. It's got some placeholder content and some boilerplate just to get you started, but by default it doesn't really contain anything super interesting. So let me open this up in my browser, and here we go. We have my my HTML content on the left in my editor, and then the rendered HTML on the right in my web browser. And this is kind of what you'll be staring at a lot over the next few weeks as you work on these projects. Some code on the left and then output on the right. And let me go back to the GitHub walkthrough. So here it says add at least 5 new tags that aren't already in the file. So like you can't add just 5 p tags. That doesn't count. Try to get creative and stuff. And here's some ideas, but another component of this class that I'm trying to make work is I want to leave a lot of this up to you. I want you to feel free to get creative and to feel like you have the freedom to sort of express yourself and to explore whatever you think is interesting. So I'm not really telling you like use these exact 5 tags. I think you can use whatever tags you want. So the way I would do this is, first of all, read through that. I'm not going to do that here because you can do that. But I would start by looking at the output and then thinking like, what do I want to change? And so one thing I might do is say like, this is Kevin's webpage, something like that, and I'll save that. And like I talked about in one of the previous videos is testing iteratively. So I made one change and I saved it, and it might seem tiny, but that's actually good. So I'm going to refresh that, and that does indeed work the way I expected. I see Kevin's webpage up here. Working iteratively helps because, like, let's say I had accidentally done that, that would give me, I would know that the problem was probably in the line that I just changed, and I could fix it a lot easier than if I had written 100 lines of code and then tested it. So anyway, I would sort of work iteratively this way, and I would say, all right, well, instead of welcome to my webpage, I would maybe say like, I don't know, my name is Kevin and I blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to sit here and write a description about myself because I'm terrible at writing descriptions about myself, and it will be 45 minutes of me being like, well, what do I do? Who am I? So I'm just going to refresh, and there we go. We have some content, and maybe just one more thing. Maybe I'll model again that process of finding new tags. So There are a couple things I could do, actually. One thing is if you're just kind of stumped and you don't know what to use, straight up just like search for HTML tags. And there's going to be a few things that you can look at. I always trust W3 Schools, so let's take a look at what they have. And yeah, okay, so here's a big list of HTML tags, and you can, read through it. So block quote defines a section as quoted from another source. I mean, maybe you have like your favorite quote in your homepage or in your HTML over here. Maybe you have a piece of computer code, like, I don't know, maybe show off some code that you wrote, maybe. Let's see, maybe just one more example. I didn't think of these ahead of time. One thing that I think would be interesting is like the image tag. So it defines an image, and there's some kind of interesting syntax in here. It's what's called a self-closing tag, so it's kind of interesting, and it uses like attributes. But you can learn all about that through the resources that we talked about. So you might, you might add some images, but I would work iteratively, like I said, so like add one tag at a time, get that working, and then check it out in your local environment and make sure it works. And then when you have, when you're at a point where you're ready to, have a checkpoint, then push that to GitHub. Does not have to be done yet, but just push to GitHub. I would say push to GitHub early and often, like as often as you would like hit Control S, push to GitHub. It's not going to hurt anything. And I would just work through that like that, by thinking about what you want in the page and doing some research and adding the HTML tag. And when you are at 5, then you can be done. You can keep going if you want, but I'm only going to count up to 5, and that's going to be like full credit. So yeah, follow the directions in this project and create your own web page using at least 5 HTML tags. Which tags they are completely up to you. And then the idea is that in class in the next like in-person class, it's all virtual, but the next synchronous class that we have, everybody's going to showcase what they've shown. So get ready to like share your screen and show off the 5 tags that you used and just walk us through what you came up with. And that's going to be how pretty much every week works. Every week has a different project, but I would say focus on what the heck? I got sidetracked, sorry. Focus on this week and worry about next week, but most weeks are going to be kind of the same flow of learning a new concept, working on a project, and then presenting that project in the next week. Of course, if you have questions or when you have questions, let me know, and I'm available to walk you through or just to be a sounding board to any ideas that you have. But yeah, don't be afraid to get creative and make it your own, and I'm excited to see what you come up with. Good luck.